That's Kat,
That's Ian.
and this is 404.
Script not found.
That's perfect. Like a terrible voice message. I love it.
Do I look like Steve Jobs with this black turtleneck?
Well, if Steve Jobs had a yellow sweater on, maybe. Like, you've never subscribed to, like, the Steve Jobs philosophy of, like,
We're
wear
in the
the
same
same
thing every
thing
day.
every day,
I sure do subscribe to the Steve Jobs philosophy. Thanks.
she says in a yellow sweater.
So today, Ian and I are talking about managing up, which is something that I'm not particularly good at. So I'm looking for.
Really? See, I would have thought this was a strength of yours.
I don't know, and I appreciate you saying that. Maybe I'm hypercritical, but I have a hard time because I'll just like take and take and take instead of sharing or providing
That is
parameters.
a problem, then.
I'm not great at talking about what I'm doing. That's something that I'm working on in 2026. So I feel like that's a huge part of managing up.
It is. And honestly, same on that note. I don't like having my one-on-one be like tactical updates. Like, I like to talk strategy. I like to get out of the weeds usually on my one-on-ones with my boss, but that is definitely not a managing up best practice.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm working on.
It starts with like having a relationship with your boss, I think, is like understanding what makes them tick, understanding them as a people. But, like, ultimately, you have to invest in the relationship itself because there has to be, like, a human level of, like, caring about what your boss cares about and being able to share in a way that they're going to hear what you're actually saying to them. So that's step one.
Okay, I feel like I've been able to do that with all of my bosses. Like I think a strength is I can build the relationship, but I don't know, I have a really hard time with pushing back and then again talking about what I'm doing.
Yeah, so I think it's, like, viewing it through the lens on that specifically, it's, like, viewing it through the lens of, like, being proactive, meaning, like, if your boss is asking you what you have going on, that's a sign you're not managing up effectively.
Mhm.
Because you're already behind the 8 ball. That means someone has asked them, "Hey, what's going on with whatever you're managing?" And they're now trying to scramble and find out what's going on. Or they feel out of the loop, which is also a bad thing for you here. So I think the way of like viewing it, and I had my one-on-one one today with my boss, is like, what do they need to know big picture? And like let them discern where they want to dig in. So like, hey, this is where we're at with what we're spending. This is where we're at with event updates. This is, a business update, like giving them kind of the high level, the highlights, if you will, like the Sports Center top 10 of like my business. You're giving them like a quick lens into like your business. And then it's like giving them what they need to know. Where do you need help? Where are their red flags? Where are their tailwinds? Where are their headwinds that they would need to know about? So if someone comes and asks them, they're informed and they sound like they know what they're talking about for you. And I think the way to view it, so you don't feel so like tactical in the weeds about this, is that you're essentially like being a evangelist for yourself. Like you're hype, like look at everything I'm doing. Look at it all. Here's my body of work, show proof of concept of all the work I'm doing. And I'm telling you, so if someone asks you, you know exactly what's going on at a high level. But like if you need more, we can kind of dig in on any of this.
But I feel like that's the issue because do you just have to accept that it's braggadocious? Do you just have to accept that you're going to talk yourself up? Or is there a tactical way to do it where you don't feel icky?
So this might not be a best practice. This is an Ian Thompson practice. It
I'll
is
take
like
it.
self-depreciating humor.
Give me an example.
I don't know, like we're managing Cisco Live for the first time in region, the entire mid-market SMB presence at Cisco Live US. Kind of a lesson on being careful what you wish for. And that was kind of how I shared that update. It was like, hey, we're just a heads up for you. We're having to, shift some priorities around. It's going to take up a lot of my team's bandwidth as we look into Q4. This is something I asked for, but careful what you wish for. And in turn, my boss responded with like, well, let me know if you need additional resources or support or where you need help, because we can obviously look into whether it's hiring an agency or stretch projects or whatever it is. So it's like just making light of the situation of like, hey, this is an update. It's something I asked for. Whoops. Like ha ha ha.
I'm
Or,
overwhelmed.
like, I don't know, like you don't always have to brag. It's like, hey, like compliment sandwich some of it of like, then good news, bad news of some of this, or making light of it, like being clearly motivated and like obviously achievement oriented while still having like a sense of being a person and humor about it all, I think is a good balance to strike.
Okay. On the opposite side, what if you're already doing a lot? This is a hypothetical question. This is not a real life question. You're like, let's say you're running the booth for Cisco Live, and then on top of that, you're asked, "Hey, but can you also take on this? Like, we also need an entire new marketing campaign for this specific segment." What is the Ian Thompson tip on, because I feel like another part of managing up is being able to say, "I know, but here's a solution,"
Yes,
right?
be solution oriented always because ultimately it's going to reflect on you as a person. So don't like, nope, sorry, can't. Like,
Can you imagine? Actually, I'm not gonna be able to do that, but thank you.
I mean, I've heard it before. Uh,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's like finding ways to, I mean, we're all busy. Like that's kind of the bottom line on all this. So it's like, hey, I can't take the whole project, but I can manage this piece of it. Or I know so and so is looking for a stretch project. This might be something good to bring them on. Like I'm happy to help, but realistically, I can only dedicate so many hours a week to this. Do you think we should pull in someone else? Like, be honest about your limitations because you shouldn't just say yes to everything. And like, that's not going to reflect well on you if you just say yes and fail, but also provide solutions to where those gaps are. So, hey, like, I can't do it all, but I can do this and I can bring on someone or we can go to this other person about the rest. The other piece of this, I think, is like being an active listener when your boss talks. So it's less managing up but more of like always being observant. What is mildly interesting to my boss is fascinating to me.
That is a really good quote.
It is, and it's a good way and a good reminder, I think, to be like a good enough listener that when your boss mentions something in passing, that's like, oh, that's interesting, or like, tell me more about that. That's something that you should be drilling in on and spending cycles on your own time because that's kind of like where their intentions are, or that's something that clearly stirred something within them. So that, like, if you can solve for that, or if that's a problem they're having or a challenge that they mention, even in passing, and you solve for it, that's an easy win for your boss.
Give me an example. Like, I know you've done this before. What's something that you've done this with?
Yeah, all right. So I don't know if this is a good one, but like I 2 weeks ago was talking to Julius, shout out my boss, and we were talking about just like performance in SMB versus mid market and where we are coming in for the quarter from a sales perspective. And he was just asking me about individual, like, and it was purely, he's like, I haven't had a chance to sync with, so and so, but like, you have an opinion or what are you hearing? And I was like, I haven't, but I have a one on one with Brittany and I have a one on one with Luis and coming up. And he was like, all right, well, don't worry about it. And I was like,
I'm
bet.
gonna worry about it.
I'm going to worry
I'm
about
worrying
it.
at the top of the worries.
No, I had both the conversations, and I didn't go out of my way to bring this up. It was within the confines of the conversation, but I sure as heck went and documented it all and sent him an email that Friday of like, hey, I know we talked about this really quick on Wednesday. I ended up having these meetings. I wanted you to like close the loop on the conversation we had. Here's what I learned, and here's where we're going to finish, and here's why we're going to finish there, and here's the headwinds and tailwinds and obstacles we have and what the second half is looking like from a sales perspective. And he was very appreciative of that. So I think that's just an
Oh,
easy
man.
way to like show your boss you care about what is driving them and stressing them out and keeping them up at night by just literally listening.
So, I'm an individual contributor, so I need to practice on my own managing up, but you're on the other side where you're managing up and then you're also expecting people to do it up to you. What do you prefer? Like, are you seeing examples day to day where you're like, "Oh, you make my life a lot easier."
Yeah. So this is, we're in podcasting nirvana here because I was about to go here with this.
Oh my god, Ian, don't you just love when this happens?
Yes. So it's like owning your business. And I mean that from top to bottom. And I know that's like a trope, but it's like own the one on one. Like, one, make sure you have a one on one with your boss. Two, like show up prepared for it. That is your time with your boss. That is not their time to fill 30 minutes. If I get on and you have nothing to talk about, we're probably going to get off pretty quickly.
See ya.
So like come prepared. Spend time that morning putting together like these are the things I want to talk about. This is my 15 minutes for operational update. This is 10 minutes of strategy and 5 minutes of personal development that I want to talk about really quick. And sometimes you might not get to all of it. So make sure you hit the big rocks that you laid out. Like, hey, my boss has to know about this because it's about to blow up. That should go first. Maybe, personal development has to wait till your next meeting because you didn't get to it because you deep dive into strategy or whatever it is. But like lay out what you want to talk about. Like some people I know will send an agenda. I don't do that, but I show up with a list every single week to my one-on-one of like, this is what I want to talk about and this is how long I want to spend on like big buckets. I don't line item the time, but like I do bucketize the time from a big picture. And then so it's owning that, it's owning your business. It's like truly, again, giving the strategic updates to your boss. So the way I think about this always, a good leader takes all of the blame and gives all of the success, right? So like at all times, if something goes wrong, I'll wear it. If something goes right, I'm highlighting the person that did it. A good, to me, contributor is making their boss look good because that's like you're trying to highlight, hey, like this is a success for our organization or our team. And if they're a good boss, they'll make you look good because it's your win. So it's like viewing it through that lens will help the relationship grow. And then ultimately, through all of this, through building the relationship with your boss and owning your business and all of that, is then being able to be like confident enough in giving feedback because there's nothing worse than like, hey, we obviously have our performance rituals semi-annually now, but like there's times that like hey, we just did an engagement pulse. Things aren't where I want them to be on how my team feels coming to work every day. What am I doing as a manager that's impacting that? Or like what have your bosses previously that you've liked done differently than me that I could implement? Like feel confident to get, I'm not asking because
Mhm.
I want you to tell me things are great. I'm asking because I want to change things and I want to be better for you. And I would hope that people feel confident enough having that conversation with their boss.
That was really good, like, that was a huge learning for me. I do feel like I own my one-on-one agendas, but I can tangent very quickly, and I think it would be better if I block it, like you said. Not for anyone's knowledge, but for
No, no,
mine.
yeah, I don't share
Yeah,
my time blocks. I just like
yeah.
I throw it in OneNote. We just talked about on a podcast.
Mhm.
I throw it in OneNote. I quickly because then it's easy to add my notes underneath each thing, and I then can kind of put it on my computer screen near where I can see the clock, and I can kind of keep myself going on it. Also, it's like it just you can feel at times like even with someone you're friends with, there's times that you get on a subject that like clearly isn't hitting and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, like we don't need to spend a ton of time on this. I gave you my update. I'm not, if you don't have anything, I don't
Mhm.
have anything, like we can keep moving. And then it's like, oh, we got to personal development with 10 minutes instead of 5. We can spend a little more time and I can ask a second question or dig in on something that we talked about previously.
And are you talking to your boss? Oh, and are your direct reports talking to you about personal development every time or frequently?
You should.
Good to Okay, perfect, and that's
You
what you're
should.
about.
No, I think so. You should because like it just shows you're like, hey, and like keep your boss accountable. Like, hey, last time we talked, I know you mentioned like me getting more exposure to the SLT on QBRs. We have a QBR coming up. Can I help prep the slide? Or can I like obviously don't sign up for work that like you're not gonna do, but it
Mhm.
is a good opportunity of like, hey, is there a chance that I can help put together this? Or like we can sync afterwards and you can tell me your thoughts on like how the readout went or whatever. I think the other thing is like that is a great best practice is like keeping a running like log of your notes of your one-on-ones. So I know we talked about in like the Microsoft Office episode, like I use OneNote, you use OneNote, like all of my like I have a tab for Julius and I just have it's a running tab that I'm scrolling through right now. It's literally all of my one-on-ones. I just put a date and I have my little notes and then I add notes in beneath each of my bullet points.
Mhm.
And that way it's like, hey, last meeting we talked about this. I wanted to, circle back because I got an answer. Or we didn't get to finish talking about this because you didn't finish your thoughts. Wanted to dedicate some time to that today. So it's like you're showing up because prepared because you have documentation of what you have and haven't talked about, and you're able to like circle back on subjects.
Have to circle back.
I had to use
Mhm.
one here.
Honestly, this episode was very helpful for me.
Let's go.
Yeah, this was a really good use of my time. I hope it's a good use of everyone's time, but for me specifically, I learned a lot.
I'm glad. Of
So thank you, Ian.
course.
Claps for Ian. All right, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
If you like the episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening.